God forbid you just stop the car until the track is definitely clear. I mean,
When have you seen a hurricane in Texas? Well, it happened that day.
What's all-star about having every driver? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Good guy, ass. Good guy, can't drive a race car. Sorry.
You're listening to the Foreign Fuel Podcast.
hello everyone, welcome back to the Foreign Fuel Podcast. I'm your host, Dom Capalupo, joined by Steve Ray, Sam Dooley, and Wesley Riddle. We're here for a Las Vegas recap episode. A little later into the week, just a couple days didn't line up. We had to watch some World Baseball Classic before we can get this one done. Sam, I'm going to start with you. World Baseball Classic, you were talking about maybe firing Mark DeRosa. Well, I guess he won't be the U.S. manager after today.
Yeah, I floated the idea of my Dooley's W of the week being Mark DeRosa just from everything that happened during the World Baseball Classic. I've got my Team USA. It's a PCA shirtsy. I'm a Cubs fan, so I was excited to see him on the team, and I was excited to see him doing well. And then the finals came around, and Steve's guy Byron Buxton got the starting nod because we care more about lefty-righty splits than who's hot in the series. So that's neither here nor there. This isn't a baseball podcast. This is a NASCAR podcast, and we've got some mile and a half action to talk about for the first time this season.
That's right, Steve, your favorite driver. He took the dub on Sunday. How do you feel about that one?
Well, actually great because I picked him for fantasy. So I feel great about it, although Chase Elliott, it was really strange because in the last couple laps, Chase Elliott was slowly starting to close in on Denny Hamlin, and I really wanted to see a Chase Elliott win. But at the same time, I was like, just for this week, I kind of hope he doesn't win because I could really use the extra points in fantasy. So it wasn't terrible, I guess, overall that Denny won, although I would have liked to have seen a Chase win because historically Vegas has been pretty terrible for Chase. So it was nice to see him rebound for a second place finish. But Denny Hamlin left out, leaving Vegas like he never left there last fall, just going out and, like he said, put belt to ass, and he certainly did, and proved why there is no slowing down to this 11 team this year for sure.
I love the meme on NASCAR memes, their weekly posts, where they had the John Cena literally just laying belt to ass. And it was just Denny Hamlin in the Pennzoil, 2026 Pennzoil 400, even with a speeding penalty. And that was probably my favorite one this week outside of just the ending of the slides with the Ty Gibbs, where we're not no more successful hate watches. I don't know, 3 top 5s for Ty Gibbs. So the hate watches might be coming to a close here, Wes. And going back to that finish, it it was eerily a reminder of when we went to Vegas in 2021 with Denny Hamlin having a pretty good lead at the end, but Chase Elliott trying to make it a little interesting there at the end, trying to run him down.
Yeah, I had noticed that too. Seemed like Elliott really got strong there at the end, but it was just another day where, he came up short. But Hamlin executed all day, pit stops, everything kind of suited. And yeah, like you said, really reminiscent because I feel like in that 21 race that we went to, I don't think Hamlin was the dominant guy the first half, but Hamlin's notorious for coming on strong late, trying to just manage the car. And then similar with Chase Elliott, he's always kind of carried that driving style too. So it shaped up pretty cool to see kind of a carbon copy almost of what we saw with long green flag runs and a sprint between the two at the end.
Yeah, I feel like that race was refreshing in terms of green flag pit stops and longer runs. Only one caution for cause outside of the stages with the incident with Stenhouse and Zilich with about 60 laps to go, 55, 60 to go in the final stage. And I mean, you just saw how good Denny Hamlin's car was. He got that speeding penalty at the end of stage one, restarted 31st and drove up to 5th off pure merit by the end of stage two. And that's how you know someone's car is really good, especially in the next gen era, to work your way through the field like that. And he made it look pretty easy too. And he said he felt like that too, and he knew he still had a chance to win the race, even after that speeding penalty, just because of how good his car was. He was able to kind of go in any lane and make it work. And that's what you need in the next gen days, because I'm telling you, some of these guys can only run the top and some of these guys can only run the bottom. But if someone's in the way and you don't have the maneuverability to get out of that lane, you have no chance in the next gen era of racing, especially on mile and a halves.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was the big takeaway. If there had been if there had been one caution in stage two that re-racked the field, Hamlin, like you just said, drove through the field under green flag conditions all the way up to fifth. If there was at least one caution in stage two, Hamlin was winning that stage for sure. It was just incredible to see that, you know, it just didn't seem to matter whether it was the top, whether it's bottom, middle. He could have ran backwards and would have been faster than most of the field. It was amazing to watch.
and the crazy thing too is I was listening to Actions Detrimental, and he was talking about how in like the center of the corner, if someone aero blocked him, he could just go up a lane. You shouldn't be able to do that, and he's like, I'm going faster than them by doing that. Like that's how insanely good his car was. And I obviously he's a top notch driver. Like everyone knows this. If you can't tell right now, I'm kind of at the peak of my liking Denny Hamlin. At some point, he's going to do something stupid on the track, or he's going to say something stupid, and I'm going to dislike him again. But for right now, I'm actually really happy with this win, because right now in my head, he's the boss man of one of my favorite drivers, Bubba Wallace. Who, shout out Bubba Wallace, back to second in points now. But yeah, it was insane how he was talking about like he could just if they were trying to aero block him, he could just go up half a lane in the center of the corner, and he'd get that drive off. So, yeah, definitely the best driver and the best car of the day one.
It kind of carried that way too, just with all of Joe Gibbs. It seemed like they were the powerhouses throughout the whole day. Christopher Bell was top five. Ty Gibbs had one of the best runs he's had on a mile and a half, maybe in his career, even though he didn't lead the most laps. And then Chase Briscoe, we didn't talk about him a lot, but on the last restart, I think he started outside the top 20. And similar to Hamlin, how he worked his way through the field, rebounded to finish top 10 too. So Briscoe, if he was up there, didn't get the speeding penalty, he could have probably had a top 5 day as well, which would have put all four Joe Gibbs racing cars there solidly in the top five. And yeah, Gibbs and Hendrick are kind of leading the pack right now.
Yeah, you look at the 19 team, they got to stop screwing around. That, I mean, no stage points again because of a speeding penalty. And they keep setting themselves so far back, it then screws you up going into qualifying for the next week. And then when you qualify bad, it's hard to get points in the first stage. And then a speeding penalty when you're already back there sets you so far back and you're suck a lap down. And then you come out with eighth place, but you're not scoring the eighth most points, throughout the day. I mean, Chase Briscoe scored 29 points. The guy who finished behind him, Bubba Wallace, scored 41. So that's a 12-point difference because Bubba Wallace got 13 stage points. And that's what Bubba's doing a great job of this season. He leads the series in stage points, and that's why he's second in the points. And he's just staying super consistent. And that's going to be enough to put you in the top, I'd say, 5 in points come the end of the regular season and where you need to be to have a chance at the championship. I mean, Bubba Wallace scored 41 points. He scored more points than second place finisher Chase Elliott. So that 23 team, they're maximizing points even on days where they're not the fastest. And he finishes ninth and still walks away in the top 5 in points earned in the race.
Going back to Briscoe real quick, just taking a look at the point standings right now after Vegas sits 26th in points, sitting at 76 points. There's a three-way tie for 16th right on the cutoff for the chase grid here, and that they're sitting at 117 points. That's 41 points. And normally you'd think that 41 points is a lot, but you look at the drivers that are ahead of Briscoe there. So you have SVG, Suarez, AJ Allmendinger, Zane Smith, Ross Chastain, John Hunter Nemechek, Kyle Busch, Riley Herbst, Austin and Ty Dillon, and Chase Briscoe is sitting behind them in 26th. He's going to outrun every single one of those drivers. So he is going to make up that 41-point gap. It's then once you crack the top 16, you know, just ahead of the cut line, you have Hocevar, McDowell, Priest. Once you start getting up there, it's going to be a lot harder to start jumping, get up to the top 10 in points and things like that. So I have no doubt that Briscoe will get to the top 16. It's just how far up into the top 16 he's going to get, is kind of the question. Can he get to the top 10? Maybe. Can he get to the top 5? That's going to be the struggle point for them. And ultimately, if the more that they're behind, just the deeper hole that they're going to dig starting the chase. So yeah, you're right, Dom. We're only 5 races in, but man, with 21 races to go, you got to get a move on pretty quick here.
Yeah, with Briscoe, he's 88 points behind 6th, and that's Christopher Bell. All the simulations NASCAR ran when determining this system, you needed to be in the top 6 going into the chase. And scoring 88 points and gaining 88 points on your own teammate, Christopher Bell, it seems like, I mean, you're going to need some bad luck on the 20 car, and you're going to have to go on a run of wins to have any chance of getting that high up. And that's, every mulligan has been used for the 19 team, and they have to basically run 21, clean races almost, essentially, coming up to have a chance at that top 6 and have a legitimate chance at winning the championship. Because, yeah, if he sits 10th in points, I mean, he's going to be so far back for the championship lead with someone like a Hamlin or a Reddick, Larson, Byron, Chase Elliott. You're not going to make all those points up in 10 races. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. And so transitioning over to, I want to talk about Penske because those guys unloaded bad and just never really found it, Wes, and they were really just irrelevant essentially the whole weekend.
Yeah, it honestly seemed like Ford really off the gate kind of struggled, and some were able to rebound, some guys weren't really able to. Like you saw Zane Smith, right? He was top 15 all day. Ryan Preece was top 10 all day. Chris Buescher was up there. Brad Keselowski was up there. But then, yeah, Logano was 15th to 18th, and then Austin Cindric. There were moments early. It looked like Cindric was going to be the guy to beat. I mean, he drove through the whole field from the back and was able to get to the top 10. But then some mistake obviously put him back. I don't know what it would have been, but he didn't rebound. Horrible for Cindric. I mean, he's 30th in points right now and needs a big rebound. And then Blaney had speed early, but there were times it seemed like every time they came down pit road, he lost spots. And then the last pit stop they had, he overshot the box, and obviously continued with a slow stop. So the Penske ball was definitely dropped, and they struggled. But I feel like at the same time, though, similar theme kind of on mile and a halfs where just they're kind of the third, fourth team like usual, right? It's hard for them to keep up with Penske and Hendrick because they just seem to dominate on the mile and a halfs.
Can you even say there's a big 3 like organizations right now? Because outside of Ryan Blaney most weeks, Joey Logano isn't dominating any races. Austin Cindric sure isn't dominating races. It seems like it's just Hendrick and Gibbs. Those are the 2 heavyweights. And then Penske and I'd say 2311 are kind of at the same level right now. If not, 2311 might be edging ahead of them. So I don't know if you could say there's a big 3 anymore. I think it's just Hendrick and Gibbs on top of everyone else.
Well, I feel like me personally, I've always thought that. I feel like Penske obviously winning the championship is a huge statement and a huge testament to what they can do in 10 races, but not as a season overall, not overall performance on the racetrack. Penske, they've been close at times, But overall, when you look at a full 36 race season format, they are always behind the Hendrick guys and the Gibbs guys, and it's been like that for years. Excluding, of course, the last 10 races. If you you know just set those aside and look at those numbers, yeah. But overall, in 36 races, no. Yeah, I'd put 2311 right there with them right now. I think the Toyota just, they've been really hot so far. Um, Riley Herbst has ran better. Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace are off to the best starts of their career. Ty Gibbs, 3 top 5s in a row. That's a statement where we talked before the season started that he could be on the hot seat. And yeah, I think Penske, again, Ryan Blaney's kind of the outlier. He's the only one, even in the whole Ford camp, that runs and competes for wins on a weekly basis. But yeah, Logano's just not been there. Cindric's been pretty irrelevant. And the rest of the 4 guys, maybe Zane Smith and Chris Buescher, seem to be the 2 most impressive. Ryan Preece, of course, won in the offseason, but where are the rest of the Fords?
I would say as of right now, I would even put RFK higher than Penske right now. Outside of Ryan Blaney, he kind of certainly is the lead guy for Penske. RFK is quietly, they don't have the results or the stage points, but I think I saw a stat the other day that they're one of the few teams that have had all of their cars finish on the lead lap in every race so far this season. And that proves in the points too. Chris Buescher 9th, Keselowski 12th, and Ryan Preece 13th. All 3 of their cars inside of the chase right now. So compared to where, you know, obviously you have Blaney in 3rd, Logano in 11th, and then Cindric way down in 30th in points. I would even be daring to say that RFK is sitting a little bit higher than Penske right now.
And the Chevys, I mean, outside of Hendrick, the 3 Hendrick cars, not counting the 48, I mean, their Chevys were bad. I mean, bad. They didn't even sniff the top 10 at all. And Austin Dillon was your highest finishing Chevy outside of those 3 Hendrick cars in 12th. And he was kind of in that 12th to 15th range all day, which is, pretty good for that 3 team. But Spire, nowhere to be found. Hosfart said he was driving like the worst car in his career. And Trackhouse, I mean, right now it's making Zilich look pretty bad. Like it's obviously he's a rookie, but we didn't expect him to be running outside the top 25 every week, minus Coda. And an SVG almost wrecks on the first lap, and he just runs literally dead last the entire race. And Ross Chastain, this is one of his best racetracks. And he was nowhere to be found and ends up getting in a scuffle with former teammate Daniel Suarez over 17th place.
The thing with Trackhouse, this type of start, I wouldn't say, obviously we had higher hopes for Connor Zilich, but he's still getting acclimated. Keep in mind, he's only 19 years old too. He's still getting acclimated to the Cup Series. A lot of these tracks he has not, never raced at in a Cup car before. I mean, barely has any experience in the O'Reilly Series. He's 19, so I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt here. SVG, obviously ovals are not his forte. He has gotten much, much better, but did I expect him to go out and run top 10 or maybe top 15 at Vegas? Probably not. The one that really sticks out to me is Ross Chastain, sitting 20th in points right now. And it's just kind of a head scratcher a little bit as to SVG has been the top performing Trackhouse car this year, and we've only run one road course. Like, the same type of conversations that we're having about Chase Briscoe just a little bit ago about kicking it in gear. Well, Ross Chastain needs to do it too because he's been, obviously he won the 600 last year, but was pretty irrelevant for most of the year outside of that. He's another one of those guys that's like kind of unsure. He's a big question mark this year of like, obviously when they hit it and he can run top 5, but man, when they miss it, they just whiff completely on it. And I I'm really I'm getting concerned about Trackhouse if I'm being honest. Outside of Zilich, he's a rookie. Obviously, he doesn't want to be 35th in points, but he will improve as the year goes on. The one that really concerns me, though, is Ross.
I hate
Yeah.
to I didn't want to jump back to it, but I did look at just the 5 races, right? 5 races. There's been 25 times a driver has finished top 5, and Ford only shares 3 of those in the first 5 races of the season. They've only got 3 top 5s. Meanwhile, there's hardly any with the Chevy camp again outside of Hendricks. So yeah, the Trackhouse team, you know, they're really going to have to step it up. And then at Ford overall, I know top 5s don't tell the whole picture, but if you want to get wins and be a threat for the championship at the end of the year, they need to start now.
Yeah, absolutely. And just, I mean, we'll dive into this now, this Chastain and Suarez deal. So it looks like on lap 2, they're 3 wide. Suarez is in the middle, and they make a little contact. It kind of looks like Ross came up into him, but either way, then they kind of go on throughout their day. And then towards the end of the race, I guess they had a little run in. It wasn't really shown all too much. But Suarez says his left front was starting to, wear out, and he was starting to have issues with it. He was getting tight, and I guess he crowded Ross, and then Ross took offense to that after the race, and Suarez had his hand out the window saying, my bad, like didn't mean to do that, and then Ross just door slams him under the cool down lap. Which, I mean, for one, that late into the cool down lap, probably not cool. Drivers are loosening their belts. It's probably not good to be hitting each other with the race cars when you're loosening belts. And then Ross Chastain goes over to Suarez on pit road, shoves Suarez, and then says, "Oh, you're just mad, basically that you got fired." And then Ross's PR rep jumps in to break it up before it could get really physical. And so this is my disappointment of the week is Ross then being asked by the media, can you tell us what was said, what happened between you and Suarez? And he said, not a chance, guys. I mean, Ross Chastain is one of the most popular drivers in the sport, and every time he gets into an altercation with somebody, it's always just no comment. How is this sport supposed to grow if you're one of the top 5 popular drivers? It's just always just going to be quiet when he gets into an altercation. The fans want to know what's going on, and you could see Suarez had no problem saying what happened. He just he was disappointed with Ross and was he kept some of the stuff Ross said because he said it was so disgusting that he didn't repeat it verbatim. But Ross just saying no comment is, I'm sorry, it's a bad look. And if you're going to be the guy that's going to be seeking out these guys and seeking out these altercations, essentially, don't be afraid to say something in the media because that's only going to help the sport if you say something.
Yeah, and that's my biggest thing is that it's not that he said no comment because, like, you can be boring and be like a Hendrick guy and like have like someone comes up and asks you after a race about something that happened on the track and you just say no comment. We don't like that. Obviously, we've had these discussions that we need more personality in the sport and things like that. The thing that pisses me off about this situation is that he's saying no comment after he instigated this fight. Like you can't just walk up to someone and start talking all crazy and hit him on the cooldown lap and things like this and then walk to the media and be like, oh, it's nothing. No, I'm not gonna say anything. Like you kind of need to explain yourself. Like Dom said, you're one of the most popular drivers. People are gonna want to know the reason why you got in a shoving match with your former teammate, and we're having to have people lip read the videos that people have so that we can see what he's saying because we don't even know. Like I hand up, I didn't have much time to watch NASCAR this weekend, so I asked the guys whenever I got in here, hey, what was the whole Ross Chastain thing about? They're like, we really don't know. Like you had to go and look and because he didn't say anything. He didn't say why he was pissed. He was just pissed to be pissed. And it's really like if you're going to go up and you're going to try to act like a badass and push people around, at least at least give a politically correct answer in the media. Don't just say no comment. Like, at least explain why you were pissed off. And I mean, you don't have to, incriminate yourself and say that you did certain things or didn't do certain things, but like, just at least say why you were pissed off, because it's really annoying when you're just no comment, nothing. We don't get anything, and then everyone's kind of left confused on what happened.
Yeah, it could have been something very simple as instead of saying no comment, it could have been, hey, very early in the race, we made some contact, and just after the race, I just wanted to, show my displeasure, and things just got heated on pit road after the race. You could have just kept it very vague, and that would have been a million times better than no comment. Because, like you said, Ross was the one that went over to him to try to instigate the damn thing. So if you're going to do that and you're going to puff your chest out and you're going to act like this tough guy, well, guess what? People obviously are going to see that and want to know what happened. You want to puff your chest out to these drivers and like want to shove them and say, hey, you got fired. Well, you know what? Maybe you got to own up a little bit and at least say something. You can keep it vague without incriminating yourself like Denny Hamlin did a few years ago at Phoenix, but anything is better than no comment.
I mean, that's where you get these guys. That's why I, not the biggest Joey Logano fan, but he's always gonna speak his mind when it comes down to if he's in an altercation. Denny Hamlin's gonna speak his mind. Brad Keselowski's gonna speak his mind. All these guys are gonna speak their mind, and it's a shame they're not more popular because they're the ones that bring ratings into the sport when that happens. Clicks on videos that come out on social media. They're the ones that get NASCAR pushed on the Sports Center when there's an altercation because they go in front of the microphone and they give you a soundbite that's gonna go around the sports world, and then we just get, not a chance, guys. Like basically just saying, just get away from me. Like I'm too good to say what I said, and or even just to kind of explain what I did, even though I instigated all of it. So that's my disappointment of the week. Sam, who's Dooley's dummy of the week?
Well, Dooley's dummy. Like I said, I didn't have much time to watch this weekend, so I was scrambling to try and find someone for my dummy of the week. And I mean, honestly, it was a fairly clean weekend. I was expecting, Corey Day was up at the front. I expected he at least dumped 2 or 3 cars, but he kept it clean. I wanted to go with Junior Motorsports for not putting Raja on the 88 car. He could have won this weekend, but that's too personal for me. I don't think anyone else thinks they're a dummy for winning the race with Kyle Larson. So my dummy of the week is going to be really the only incident that happened in the Cup race, which was the 47 slowing up to go pit, and the 88 had no clue, and there was kind of a miscommunication there. I think I saw that Zilich said he just didn't know he was there. I guess he didn't see his hand out the window or something. I don't really know. Honestly, I don't know who the dummy is, so I'm going to call them both dummies. Stenhouse is a dummy. I mean, I guess he really isn't that much of a dummy. He's doing his normal entry, unless he didn't put his hand out. And then Zilich is a dummy if he did put his hand out and he ran into him. So that's my vague dummy of the week is that. But really, I was pleasantly surprised how clean everything stayed this weekend. I guess if we could go past this weekend too, the events that happened or that came out today about a young driver for Colin Racing, he's the real dummy in this whole ordeal. But that's not for me to discuss. But Daniel, I'll actually give it to Daniel Dye now that's off the top of my dome right now, is because you can't say shit like that. Like, that's just unacceptable. And so, my lighthearted dummy of the week is the incident between the 47 and the 88, but like the serious one is like, you can't say things like what Daniel Dye said on that live stream that news that broke today.
Yeah, so Daniel Dye has been indefinitely suspended by NASCAR and Kaulig, and will have to complete sensitivity training to get in there. I will say props to Brent Cruz being on that stream and just backing out of the situation when, you know, Dye was saying what he was saying, because it's very easy for a 17-year-old to just get wrapped up and kind of forget everyone could hear what you're saying and just kind of follow along with someone you're streaming with. So I'd say that's very mature of Brent Cruz, and I mean, obviously you see it on the racetrack. I mean, it just shows how much maturity Cruz has for a 17-year-old.
Yeah, definitely agree with that with Brent Cruz. My opinion on the situation, uh, you know, you can have your personal beliefs or you can say, oh, it's just a joke. Listen, but not everybody takes everything as a joke. And when when you're employed like Daniel Dye is by Colleague Racing, who races for NASCAR, you have, every time that you're doing this and you're an athlete, like you are a representative of that company, that organization, NASCAR. It goes so far beyond just you. Um, and it's really unfortunate. I mean, and that goes for everything, right? Every time that I go to work, every time that I put on uniform of the company that I work for, I'm a representative of that. Every time that we talk on here, anytime that I post on social media, like I'm a representative of the Four and Fuel podcast. And, you know, it's it just there's no place for it, right? Jokes or not, there's no place for it in society. It's not funny. It just didn't need to happen, right? And so props to Colleague, props to NASCAR. That was the right move to do. Whether he's going to learn from it or not, obviously he's done some dumb stuff in the past, so I can't really say with confidence that he's going to learn from this. Um, I do think it's a little bit ironic that one of his sponsors is suicide prevention, and that's pretty. It's just unfortunate all around for all of his sponsors, for the team, because now they're going to have to go out. That 10 truck is still going to have to go out and race at Darlington, and we're here on recording on Tuesday. They're going to have to scramble and find somebody else to put in that truck. It was just a stupid comment that just never needed to happen in the first place and has no business being a part of a joke in society anymore. It's just not needed.
Yeah, and so let's see. I mean, hopefully we know who's driving that 10 truck at Darlington by the time we do our preview pod.
I'd be calling up Casey Kane, figure out what's he up to this weekend.
Call Tony Stewart back, see if he wants to hop in the truck. They got a lot of options that they could go out there and get for that truck.
Yeah, no, for sure. So we'll hopefully know by the preview that comes out on Friday, and the truck race is Friday night. So hopefully we'll know by then who's driving that truck, and then we can comment more on that. So yeah, I mean, there's not much else. I mean, Kyle Larson gets the win. Sam kind of brought that up just a little bit by them putting Larson in the car for Bowman instead of switching Rajah back into that car. You're going to see Larson most likely again this weekend at Darlington in the 88.
That's the annoying part, is that the Bowman races I think should go to Rajah. I say that as a Rajah fan. I know I'm a little too close to the situation. I feel like those should go to Rajah because he's the guy running the car pretty much. Unless there's a Cup guy in there, he's the guy running the car. So like I feel like the one it's a terrible situation what's happening with Alex Bowman, and we found out today at least 3 more weeks that Allgaier is going to be in his Cup car. So 3 more weeks he's not going to be able to drive. And I feel like those races that Bowman was in the 88, Rajah should be the replacement guy if you're going to have one. I know probably sponsorship and money and the whoever paid for a cup driver to be in the car, so they're expecting a cup driver to be in the car. But I feel like there should be a way to work it out where Rajah's in that 88 because he's been bad fast every time he's been in that 88, and he's been pretty fast even in the 32 for Jordan Anderson.
And you know what? I just before we hop off here, don't be surprised if Corey LaJoy gets some run in that 10 truck because he's already driving the 25 this week at Darlington. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's a name that gets thrown into the mix to drive that 10 car for. I mean, you'd have to assume the rest of the season, right? There's no way Daniel Dye has, well, even if he's with colleague anymore, let alone have the support from Ram to be like, yeah, get back into that truck, at least for the remainder of this season. So, once we find out more, obviously we'll make more comments on that.
Yeah, I feel like that makes the most sense because if you look at the lineup for the guys that they're targeting for that, all-star truck, Corey LaJoy is really the only guy with the experience, the active competitiveness. He ran in the trucks last year for a majority of the later half of the year and finished top 10 in almost every race. So he's got the, just the knowledge and the craft where I feel like he would be the right replacement for the rest of the year. That's if Corey wants to do it. He wants to be in Cup. But bills pay bills. So you gotta make your money somewhere. So if that opportunity comes up, I think he would take it.
Yeah, he's gotta fund that fourth kid. Congratulations to Corey and the LaJoy family for on the birth of their fourth child. So we'll see Corey this weekend in that 25 All-Star truck, and we'll see what he gets done. And hey, maybe he becomes a full-time driver for the rest of the season for Colgan in the Ram truck. But that's it for Vegas. Next time we see you, we will be previewing Darlington this weekend, all three series. That'll be an exciting preview. So for Wes, Sam, Steve, I'm Dom, and we'll see you Friday for a Darlington preview.